Hello, Facebook. Hello, LinkedIn. Hello, YouTube. My name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the Business Plug, and I'm coming on. This is a special edition of the Business Plugs Mixer. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that normally isn't being talked about greatly in the entrepreneur world. And so, my friend and I, hey, Lauren
Hey,
is going
Linda.
to join me, and she's going to tell you about her, and she's going to tell you about how she got to do this marvelous thing she's doing. But first, I want to do my little housekeeping thing because my coach gets on me. So, so first, I'm being obedient, right? You pay people to coach you. You need to do what they tell you. So first, I want to talk to you about Monday. Is it Monday? No, it's Saturday. Saturday night, the 29th at 6 o'clock p.m. I'm doing a free grant writing class because
Mm,
I've had so many businesses ask me, I don't know anything about grants. I don't grants. And right now it's grant season. Like people are trying to get rid of their books, clear their books, get their books ready for the end of the year. And so there's a lot of grant money out there. Two of my business owners won grants this week. One won 3 million, 3,000, said 3 million. Woo. One won 3,000 and the other one 750. And so my business owners are getting grant money, and I want to help more business owners get grant money. So that's the first thing. The second thing is if you are interested in attending a 12-week course that is evidence based, that's going to teach you how to build your business, then I'm getting ready to open enrollment for my next class of building your own business. And on Black Friday, which is the weekend of November 25th through 29th, I'm going to offer it half price. So look out for that. Put that on your calendar because it's the difference between paying $250 and $500. And you want to get in on this because it's evidence based and it is a world renowned program that's helping business owners understand the workings of how to do business well. So, did all that. She'll be pleased. Everything I was supposed to do. So now, Lauren. Hey, Lauren, it's so good to see you.
and thank you for having me on,
It
Linda.
is great to have you on. Like we've been. I can't even remember where we first met. I was trying to think back. Where did I meet Lauren? And it seems like we may have been at I don't know.
Probably some business
Yeah, it was
women
business related.
networking event,
Yeah,
professional women.
yeah. It's probably. I was trying to think if it was one of the chamber councils.
Could have been.
Yeah, that feels familiar. And that
Yes.
was years. That was
Yes.
years and years and years
Maria
ago.
Noel.
Yeah. Yeah, that was years and years and years ago.
Hmm.
So we're still connected,
Yeah.
and we had an opportunity to have a conversation recently about what you're doing now because you used to be the editor, right, of a magazine,
Publisher
a
of two
publisher.
magazines.
Help me, help me, help me. I just remember magazine. I remember reading some of your articles about the great people who live in Ooltewah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you did that for how many years?
5 years.
5 years. Five
Hmm.
years. Wow. That went fast. The 5 years came and went, didn't it?
Well, yeah, and I transitioned out simply because I wanted to slow down a little bit.
Okay. I do understand that.
And my whole intent was to just retire.
Okay.
You just go in your head, I'm just tired. I'm just going to retire. And I called another friend of mine who is a former publisher. And I said, hey, look, what kind of advice can you give me? Because I'm going to retire. And she asked me, Lauren, do you really think you could sit still? uh, no. Maybe 2 months. And but what she did was to kind of describe what she was doing, and it
Mhm.
sounded so attractive and so much like me that I took the plunge,
Mm.
did my research, and signed on with Transworld Business Advisors back in June.
Okay. And so tell us about Transworld Business Advisors.
Well, Transworld is the largest business advisor slash brokerage in the world.
Mm,
And so there are about 250 offices around the
okay.
world,
Okay.
over 700 folks like me.
Mm-hmm.
And what we endeavor to do is to help businesses sell.
I like that.
But we also help with mergers and acquisitions, as well as help businesses who have a great idea, maybe a unique product or service, to franchise into many
Mm,
locations instead of just a few. And we've been doing that for over 43 years.
wow. And let's back that up. Let's back that conversation up some.
Mhm.
So you all help people implement those exit strategies that we teach them about or talk about when they first start their business.
Yes,
Because I
exactly.
because ideally you have an exit strategy in your business plan when you first start your business so that when you're building your business, you already are beginning with the end in mind.
Yes, kind of like what Stephen Covey said
Absolutely.
in Seven Habits of Highly, what's the term?
Effective people.
Effective
Absolutely.
people, is
Yeah.
that begin with the end in mind.
Absolutely. And I love that. I start every project like that. And so, in order to do that, like a lot of business, because you don't see it when you're first starting up, you're thinking, I just want to get big and famous and money and rich and all these other things. You have all these hey ideas. But then a
Mhm.
holistic business plan also includes an exit strategy that says, when you get ready to no longer do this, what does that look like? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to give it to a relative or do you just want to close your doors? Like
Mhm.
having those ideas in the front of your business will help you when you're building your business, because if you're thinking of selling it, you want to build it up as high as you can so you can get the most money possible.
Right, right.
Right?
And the businesses that sell are the ones that are going through their business plan in a particular way.
Yeah, they are.
And that's important. So like for myself, I've owned several businesses in my life. I started out at the young age of 17
Okay. Okay.
with my very first business. Of course, that was like a long time ago, but
We won't say. We
we
won't
won't
say
say
anything about that.
except that, I had this. Well, my father was bringing home these really lovely woolen knit fabrics
Mm-hmm.
because he worked in a knitting factory, and whenever something would go wrong, they cut off a huge length of this fabric. And because my mother was a seamstress, hey, he thought he was doing her a favor.
Okay.
So she was just putting into a big box in the living room closet. So one day it occurred to me, now wait a second. Why is this just sitting here? So I took little swatches of it and took it to school and started selling pieces of it. They could choose their color and, whether they wanted a wool blend, and determine, well, this is how much a yard is going to be. And so that was my first business.
Okay.
Don't
Okay.
ask me how much I made. It was just really good feeling like, hey, I'm in control.
I own a business. I'm 17 and I rock. I have clients at school. I'm a cool kid. You became part of the cool kids.
That's right. That's right. And then my second business was at 19. Of course, that was not so good either because people weren't paying me, but they really liked my designs. I was doing commercial graphics.
Okay.
But I've also run a company with my husband, a sign business, graphic sign business, as well
Okay.
as a consulting business for utilities, kind of like project risk management consulting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I never knew that when we had to leave the business that I could sell it. It was just like,
Mm.
well, close the doors, we're done.
I know.
And what a shame, because most people will understand this, that their business is their baby.
It's, I know it is, and that's why they hug that baby. I tell you, they don't want to let that baby go, and that baby can be a bad baby or a good baby.
Well, to you, it's
It's
a
always a
beautiful
good
baby.
baby. Yes,
to
it is.
to a potential buyer, it looks like a baby that got hit with the ugly stick. So there's things to do while you are building your business that will make it more valuable?
I
Whether you
know.
sell it in 3, 5, 10 years, or heck, you think you're just going to leave it, feet first or head
Yeah.
first, who knows?
And see, and think about all the people who, for whatever reason, their business idea didn't work out like they planned, and they just walk away from it,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing that they're walking away from a gold mine.
Yes, because no matter how small the business, there are several factors that a business that sells will have. Number
Mm,
one, they've been in business longer than 2 to 3 years,
mm,
that their books are clean, that they have really paid attention to the money on a daily basis, because cash flow is huge
cash is
for
clean.
potential buyers. They want to know what is in it for me.
Yeah.
They want to know that you are not your business. In other words, if it's a business that is, let's say the face of the business is the owner, a buyer is concerned because once that person leaves the business, customers will follow.
Right.
So Walter's bait shop, for instance, Walter was always there. He showed you the right worm to use on the hook and, told you fish stories. But
Yeah.
when Walter leaves, then what?
Exactly.
Customers walk in and say, well, where's Walter? Oh, Walter left. Oh, okay. Thank you. And
I'm
they
leaving
leave.
too. If you don't approach that right? And
Yes.
so the company that you work with
Mm-hmm.
helps businesses to prepare to make that transitioning more marketable.
Correct. And here are the steps involved.
I'm gonna let you give those steps while I step out for 1 second.
Sure. So the very first step is for us to have an interview and for me to gather 3 years worth of business income tax forms, as well as 3 years of profit and loss statements. And from that, we are going to come up with the sales price of the business. Now, a lot of people think that, hey, I have a multi-million dollar type business. What I do is very special, but not necessarily. So, pretty much like a home, there's kind of like the market value of that business, but it's largely going to depend on the cash flow and how well that business has been run. So there's several factors with that. We then, once we have determined the sales price, then we structure the deal. For instance, how much equipment, FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment will be included in the sale, whether it includes real estate or if it's rental property that the business owner has, and how transferable really is that lease, because that could be a deal killer if the landlord does not want to transfer that lease. The other aspect is there seller financing available? And here's what seller financing looks like, is when the owner says, I will finance 50% of the sales price, and I want so much for a down payment. Now, most banks and the SBA as well look to see if there's seller financing. And that just shows them that the seller still has skin in the game and they want to continue the business in that transition and in its success and value. So we'll determine seller financing, which is nice because seller financing could also be a way to have a stream of income as the new owner is paying down the amount that you're financing. The other step to that then is to provide the owner with a broker's opinion of value, because once I get all the numbers and plug it into our system, it'll tell me, for instance, what is the seller's discretionary earnings, which we call an SDE, or if there's EBITDA involved, which is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And I know this is extremely kind of dull, but it's very important when you're looking to sell your business. So after that, I start designing your marketing campaign. What Transworld Business Advisors does is to market your business once a business listing is formulated, as well as an in-depth confidential information memorandum. It is sent out across several different websites, some of which you certainly can write down and take a look at. One is called bizbysell.com. The other one is on the Transworld Business Advisors website, and our website is tworld.com, and then DealStream. But there's many others that we use. So the business listing information is kind of like a teaser sheet. It's going to not say anything about the name of the business because we do not want to release that information yet. The next step is once we have identified a potential buyer who wants to know more in-depth information, we send out that confidential information memorandum. And that's going to kind of like be a deep dive into your business. I take pictures, show the business location because we have worldwide buyers. We have about a database of 300,000 buyers who have also said, look, I want to buy these type of businesses and we want to spend this much. They could be entrepreneurs who are looking to acquire businesses in a very strategic approach. They could be private equity people who are looking for investments, who have people in place that they're going to replace the owner with. So there's a variety of buyers that are out there who are willing to pay. And if your business is set up the right way, they will buy it. And here's a good example. I recently got a phone call from a business here in Chattanooga. There's a much larger business who's looking to acquire businesses in Chattanooga. And his was the exact type of business they wanted. So they offered him $1.4 million. He's been in business only 4 years. That is pretty sweet. But he said, I just need to know, Lauren, if what they're offering is fair. What I do for a lot of folks is to just do a kind of like a simple valuation where I'm going to gather their income tax and their P&Ls for the last 3 years and plug them into the formula. Well, it turns out that they were about $500,000 short of what he wanted to sell it for. And then he said, you know what? I'm going to ask 1.9. What do you think? I went, I think you're in the ballpark.
So having you on their team actually got them to where they were able to make the value of their business and much closer to their dreams, right? Yes. You pulled out the paperwork that made that make sense.
Right. And it's not going to be anything formal. It was a way for him to judge whether this much larger corporation was being fair.
Right. Okay. And that's what when you're a small business, because most small businesses, this is out of their realm, right? Because they're just wanting to sell something. They have some product, some service that they've been working with, and they just want to sell something. And so bringing your expertise in could help them instead of just walking away from a business with no revenue, with no anything, could help them have a pretty good return on the investment for what they spend on their business, because that was a 4-year-old business.
Right. And they weren't looking to sell, but they got the offer.
Yeah.
So, but some of the other reasons why a company will need to sell is unpredictable. Mm-hmm. It could be retirement is one predictable one. If you have your eggs in a row, I want to retire at this age. But let's just say you become disabled, or there's a family emergency or crisis going on, or the owner dies, or there's a divorce, there's a husband and wife team in place, right? Or illness. Those are unpredictable, and that's why it's so important to start with the end in mind. Absolutely. Like, it would be crazy to say, I'm going to retire at 60, but not save a penny your entire life.
Yeah,
right?
that would be a wish.
Yeah, I know if there's any financial planners on the call, they're going, oh, yeah.
Hey Shannon. Hey Shannon, thanks for joining us. But yeah, and so that's the thing. This conversation is about having a true business.
Mhm.
And I see business owners all the time start them. And I know they've paid money for the marketing, for the cars, the logo, the signage, the licensing. Like a lot of money goes into starting a business to just walk away and shut the door forever and
Mhm.
not really know that you might be able to sell that to someone who's wanting to start a business or who's already has a business, and then your book of business can add and allow them to expand in an area they may not have had access to.
Right, right. And part of what we help businesses with is what we call exit factor.
Mm,
So, exit factor is a way for a business to assess where they are. If they're looking the long term, they should evaluate, as you know, ever so often, just make
absolutely.
sure their business is on track. But let's
Hmm.
just say I do want to sell it. I think I'm at the point. Then being well prepared means you're going to start 24 months ahead of when you'd like to see that date when you get the money and go take, you know,
Yeah,
treat yourself,
go to your
right?
life. Go to your real
Treat
life.
yourself.
So start
um,
your real life. Absolutely.
right, right.
Absolutely. Because I mean, and I think this conversation is important now because most people who start businesses have little to no business acumen. And so for those who are not in it for the long term, like I have some people who are serial entrepreneurs, right?
Mhm.
They'll start this fire, then go start that one, and then be over here. I mean, and if that's what they do, I'm not knocking that, but sometimes they close doors on the previous ones to go to the next one, right? And
Mhm.
so this is something they may not have considered, that you could actually make money off the one that you're closing if it's viable and if the paperwork is right. And
Right.
and and if you know your numbers, I stress all the time about the numbers. Like it's very important for businesses to know their cash flow. I spoke to a group here in Chattanooga at launch last Tuesday, and I was
Mhm.
telling them, three financial sheets every business owner needs to know. You need to know your profit and loss statement, your income statement. You need to
Right.
know your balance sheet, your assets and liabilities. You need to know your cash flow statement. And those, if you own whatever you own, you need to know those three financial statements in order to be able to stay aware of the health of your business.
Right. And to that regard, there are two people that entrepreneurs should have in their life, their business life. It needs to be a CPA and it needs
Preach,
to be a bookkeeper.
preach.
The CPA is the one that's going to decrease your tax liability. The bookkeeper shows what is really going on in the business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There are many business owners, they are making a great living out of their business. And so to reduce tax liability, they buy stuff
Yeah.
and they run their personal expenses through, which can be a challenge. So when you're preparing to sell your business and you're doing that, and I'm not criticizing it, I've done
No,
it.
no, we're educating. We're educating.
Right, right. Now's the time you get a bookkeeper who's been doing your P&Ls, right, to start taking out the personal expenses and making it a very, very clear
Hmm.
that that was not associated with the business,
Yeah. And
right?
I always tell, my business owners, rule number one is to have two separate accounts and do not commingle
Oh,
your monies. Do not commingle your monies because if you have commingled, you need that bookkeeper to go in there and clean things up for you. If you don't commingle, you can use automatic bookkeeping with QuickBooks or one of those. You get a bookkeeper or a CP, a bookkeeper to set you up,
mhm.
and it automatically downloads to where it's supposed to be. And then
Yes,
you can pull those reports yourself. Like there are ways of doing this, and we need to be smarter about how we handle our finances if we're going to stay in business, if we're going to have a business, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, how do you know when it's time to add those to your business?
Add what? Add what, Shannon? If you're talking about the CPA and the bookkeeping that she's talking about, you know, so what I suggest, and I do this to all my business owners, I suggest the first year, first of all, coming out of the gate, you need to have a CPA. Okay. You need a tax
Mhm.
attorney. You need somebody to help guide you. Okay. You need that coming out of the gate. You need, and she says CPA and bookkeeper. And I also say an attorney. So those three,
Yes.
those three,
Right. Have a transactional attorney,
absolutely,
a
absolutely. So
business attorney.
absolutely. So I always say those three you need to have coming out of the gate. Now, with that being said, when you're first starting, I know most of us do say we do not have enough money for that. Like we're like, well, Linda, where's the money when I'm not even making money yet? And I get that, but let me give you a hot tip. You know, they call me the plug, so let me plug you in. So you can go to your local, and it doesn't matter where you are in America, okay? Because I know this broadcast, worldwide, but if you're anywhere in America, in the USA, you can go to any small business development center in your area, and they actually have what they call hour with an attorney, hour with a CPA.
Hmm.
So you actually get to spend and ask questions to a CPA and an attorney for free at your local small business development center. Now, well, Linda, how do I find them? Well, glad you asked. I
Glad
told you
you asked.
yeah, I'm the plug, so I plug you into this. So you go on the internet, and I think they said it's Beyonce's internet now. I don't know who it belongs to. I just think it was Al Gore, but then they tell me it's Beyonce's. So whoever's internet it is, go on the internet and go to sba.gov. That's Small Business Administration.gov. And you put in your zip code, right? And they'll tell you where the ones that are nearest your home are. And you go and make an appointment. They usually do an hour and a half orientation. You sit through that orientation, and it gives you a wide range of the services they have that you have access free to. We were talking about paying taxes. When you pay taxes, you pay for them to help you keep your business afloat. So this is the most underused resource, but it's
Yes.
available to all American citizens simply for the ask. So you can
Exactly.
go there and talk to an attorney and an accountant. And you can also, they have accountants that work with them. So even if you want to go, like I was saying about the QuickBooks, Quicken, whatever, if you want to go that route, they actually have
Hmm.
access to accountants that will set it up for you at a reduced rate, cheaper than what you would get if you went by yourself. So they have access to all these services that you can use in your business, and getting your business in shapes to be sellable is a whole new vibe, right? Because
Yes.
nobody's telling you. People are talking, and if you're talking about business ownership, like Lauren, somebody, I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, and everybody's teaching them how to start a business from scratch, right?
Hmm.
But your method, somebody who's wanting to sell a business, they could acquire a business that's already functional.
Right. Which is so much better than trying to grow a business from scratch.
Absolutely. Good morning in Bangladesh. Good
Good
morning. Good
morning.
morning. So yes, I told you this is global.
Yes.
my audience is all over the world, and and welcome, welcome, welcome. But yeah, so when you look at it, a lot of people are teaching, like everywhere you go. Every other week it seems like there's a new curriculum coming out to teach us how to start businesses, right? And everybody wants to mentor and
Right.
educate. And there's just so many of them out there because people want to start businesses, but very few of those types of curriculums go deep dive into exit strategies, right? Very few of them go deep dives into you don't have to start a brand new business. You can go and contact Lauren and see if there are some businesses out there in your wheelhouse that you would like to purchase.
Right.
Like, hey there, Janine. Coach Janine, thank you for joining us. So yeah, so you could actually go and find a business that's similar to what you have in mind that's ready to sell. And I especially think, Lauren, with this the great resignation, a lot of
Mhm.
people are going to begin to find out that business is not as easy as it looks from the outside.
That's right. But it's different when if you have a background in business and you know about all those elements, running a clean financial house, how to manage social media, building your team, right? Learning not to engulf yourself that much in the business, then you're going to look for businesses similar to that.
Mm.
You want to look for a business where the owner is going to help with financing, or they'll stay on for 30 to 60 days to make sure that you're onboarded.
I
So
love
even
that.
like now, I have a client who says, look, I'm available for 60 days after the close and up to 6 months via telephone.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
yeah, she wants to see her business in the hands of a really good owner
because it's her baby.
because it's her baby.
It's her
And
baby.
there are clients that come with that. There's customers who are going to expect that same level of service that
Yeah.
made that business successful. But it's really neat because you can acquire businesses. Let's just say I own a beauty salon
Mm-hmm.
and I want to build my empire with the finest beauty salons in North America so I can
Mm.
sit on the beach in Mexico.
Okay.
Well, you can do it.
I love it. I
And
love
that's
it.
easier than me traveling to, Florida to try to set up a whole new salon and then head on out to Dallas and try to set up a new salon. What you do
Exactly.
is acquire these businesses. And the best way to do it is through a business broker. Because
And
if you're running,
I was talking to someone just yesterday, and she was talking about this particular person, and she said he has a great business mind, but how he has got his wealth is he will acquire businesses in other cities, and
Mhm.
instead of taking people from Chattanooga to go work there, he would just hire people locals,
Yes,
and so he kept it. All the different businesses he started, there were several. He kept hiring people in the local area. So it was a win-win. It was a win for him because he owned the company, but it was a win for the local people. It gave them jobs.
right. And with businesses used to the idea that people can work remotely, you don't have to open up anything. You don't have to start a new lease at times. It's just those people will continue in their roles
Wow.
and you are able to enjoy the benefits of that business.
Absolutely. Which makes it a worthwhile investment.
Yes. Yes.
Which makes it a
So,
wonderful investment. I mean,
yeah.
imagine because I because I deal with startups, right? And so I
Mhm.
get to hear, Linda, what do you do now? Like I have people in all types of industries, and a lot of them are struggling because one, they think they thought they knew how to start a business, and they found out no, there's a lot more to it. Like it's I that class I talked to last week, they were like, we feel like we've been fed through a fire hose. All this information. This is a lot of information. It really is. But if you can actually sit at the feet and learn from the business owner who's been successful a number of years, who can
That's
give you
right.
the shortcuts, how applicable is that?
Right. That is iron sharpening iron.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That to have gotten a business coach who could tell me the shortcut, it wouldn't take me 9 years to get.
Exactly.
I'm a quick learner, but this is a long process. I
And
feel
there's
like I feel like the Israelites over in the 40 years. I feel like I've been wandering in the wilderness. Finally out. Like,
yeah, so you,
ooh,
you you can grow your legacy that
absolutely.
way as
And
well.
hey, I have to say hey to your significant other. That you know your stuff. Shout out to Laney. Thanks for joining us, Laney. But yeah, but who wouldn't want a shortcut to the profits?
Right.
Like, most businesses do not become profitable until 3 to 5 years after opening. And that's profitable at a small, not quit your job profitable, but
Mhm.
profitable where now you're breaking even and you're actually making money, like that
Right.
kind of profitable. And so if you
Right.
could find someone to get you there in like a third of the time that it takes to get there, I mean, how valuable is that? What type of
Right.
investment, return on that investment you get immediately almost?
Exactly. And so even if you're considering being that type of entrepreneur acquiring businesses, one word of advice is make sure that you get pre-qualified.
Mm,
Okay. Have a bank or, for instance, here in town, like Pinnacle, Southern Heritage Bank, they could say, hey, look, you're good for this amount of money.
mm-hmm.
Because when you decide you're going to want to investigate a business and the business broker has you sign off on the non-disclosure agreement, you also need to be prepared to show that you have the financial wherewithal and that
Yeah,
you're not just a tire kicker.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's a good thing to say, hey, look, I've already been pre-qualified for $1 million, for
Mm,
instance.
mm,
That may mean that you can buy $1.5 million business because the seller is going to, if they're smart, offer you some financing on that.
yeah, yeah,
And so you could go a little bit above that.
yeah.
Okay.
And,
Or
and, and that's a wonderful thing because that financing becomes their retirement.
yes.
Those,
Yeah, I'm going to
I mean,
hold that note for 10 years and you're going to pay me $2,000 a month. That's a nice little,
that's a nice little
change.
that you don't have to do a thing for.
That's right. It's kind of like owning rental property.
Absolutely. Just go to the mailbox. The hardest part of your month is going to the mailbox. I mean, how
Don't do that.
wonderful is that? That's the life I'm aiming for. That's definitely the life I'm aiming for. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I thank you. I thank you for your yes. And I thank you for coming on and talking about
You're
things that
welcome.
these are unspoken conversations that people don't talk about. You need to be thinking now, like the time to start thinking about your exit strategy is now. While you're building your business so that you can build your business and put it in the best shape possible if your plans are to sell it. I know a lot of people say, well, I want to pass it down to my grandkids or I want to pass it down to my children. And then I look at their kids, they're like, I don't want that.
Oh, and here's the other thing, real quick. The average lifespan of a family-owned business is 24 years.
Wow.
About 40% will make it to the second generation.
Wow.
13% pass down successfully to a third generation,
Mm,
while 3% survive a fourth or beyond.
3%.
Only 3%. And a lot of the times, like you say, the kid, and I've heard it, the kids aren't interested in getting the business.
I don't know. I don't want the business. I don't want to work that hard. I
Right.
want to do something good. I want to do something better. I want to do something else. So
That's right.
thank you. Thank you.
You're
I want to
welcome.
do something else. So you have to that's good information. Now those are the numbers. And when you hear that, I mean, it's exactly the conversations I get to hear when my business owners are saying, yeah, I'm doing this for my granddaughter because the Bible tells us we're to make money for our kids, leave money for our kids. And they're like, well,
Mhm.
yeah, this is for my grandkids. And the grandkids are like, I'm
Mm.
in the music. I'm in the beats. I'm not going to be doing any cooking.
Exactly.
So go ahead and sell that business and get your money and go
That's
do
right.
some part of your life, honey. And
That's
let
right.
these
And then
kids
treat yourself,
and
okay?
treat yourself. Yeah,
Treat yourself.
leave them money. They're gonna do what they want to do anyway. So leave them some money they can do it with. That's the best you can do. That's the best you can do. But these kids are like no, they tell me all the time, no, Miss Linda, I'm in the beats. I'm in the music. I'm doing this, that, the other. It's
Yeah.
way off from where the business is. They're like, no, I'm traveling the world.
Yeah.
But
Ready.
it would be great. Ideally, you would love to leave your business to your grandkids, ideally, but that's just an idea, honey. That's not
That's right.
very 3% made it to four. She said 3%.
That's right.
3% make it to the fourth
For
generation.
generation.
Yeah. So yeah, go and make your money and live your life.
That's
But
right.
yeah, but thank you again. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
So
Thank
in
you.
parting, is there any parting information that you would like to share with our audience? Hey Danielle, thanks for joining us.
Yes, I'll end where I started, and that is to begin with the end.
I love it. I love it.
But the other thing is keep track of your business and don't take the ostrich strategy, which is to stick your head in the sand.
All right then. That's important. That is important. I
And we're
like
here to
it.
help. We're here to help no matter
Absolutely.
what stage
And
you're in.
absolutely. And you will find her contact information in the chat. I mean, in the chat, in the description of this video. And reach out to her for a conversation and let her talk about where you are and where your plans are. Where do you want to go? Because now is the time. Like, when should you have this conversation?
Now.
Even 2 weeks ago, but since you didn't do it 2 weeks ago,
Do it tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. Get on our calendar for tomorrow.
I'll be in bed pretty soon. Yeah.
Exactly. Now is the time to have that conversation so that you can leave legacies or whatever your plans are, that she can help you to be in the best shape for those plans, because you won't hear that anywhere else. People talking about, what do I do? What part of my business plan is missing? And the part of your business plan that's missing is the exit strategy. What are you going to do on that day when you are no longer having fun or you're no longer physically able to sustain that business? What happens then? And so having that conversation now and planning for that day now puts you in a wonderful position, But yeah, so thank you. I'm glad you like my speakers. I get to talk to the best people. You know what? I love it.
You're a blessing, Linda.
I love this. I love doing this. I love bringing this type of information to people, because it's all about educating people on things they may have not considered. And this is definitely one of those. So again, thank you for joining me this evening in this special edition of the Business Plugs Mixer. And I will see you, ladies and gentlemen, on Sunday at 7 p.m., where I will bring my next guest, and I will tell you what we're talking about, but I can't remember. So we're not going to do that. To be very honest with you, my brain is like, this is COVID brain, guys. If you have not experienced long-term COVID, consider yourself blessed. It is a whole vibe by itself. It keeps me going. Like, there are days, and this is one of them. But in any case, Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, I will have a guest on at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to talk about business topics for business people. My name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the Business Plug, and I just plugged you in to exit strategies and acquisitions with Lauren Wingrove. You all have a great evening.
Thank you.
And I pronounce you as Wingrove. It's
Wingrove.
I know better. I just don't act better. I know better. You all have a great evening. Goodbye.
Thank you, Linda. Bye-bye.